I'm Joanna Garzilli. This is Tarot News, giving you a multi-dimensional view. Trending today on Twitter is Chrissy Teigen. The hashtags, the trend, the trending thing is filthy mouthed wife. And the response to that is President Pussy Ass Bitch. Hashtag Team Chrissy. Hashtag John Legend. And I had to really center myself on this one, because I think that what happens here is when news comes up, when things happen, I feel as human beings, we have this natural tendency, it is built into us since our school years, to take a side. You're going here or here. The same with sports, right? You pick a side. In politics, you pick a side. From a spiritual perspective, and one could say, well, how do we get to that? How do we get to this ideal? We don't pick sides. We focus from different spiritual traditions, from Buddhism and yogis to one love, or one is all, right? John Lennon would say, imagine all the people living life in peace, that we can all coexist together. And so this morning when I got up and Nick shared with me and said, oh, trending today is this Chrissy Teigen, President Trump story, immediately my heart sunk. I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go over that. And the thought that came to me as well, that what came up when I was in the kitchen, school playground. Our son Dominic, he's in fourth grade, and sometimes there's disagreements that happen. And me as a mother, I want to just go and protect immediately. I want to go and protect my son from whoever the kid is on the playground that's upsetting him. However, when I was meditating yesterday afternoon, listening to the late Dr. Wayne Dyer, and he talked about the way that we see things, an awareness I had was when Dominic shared he was upset with this kid, and I'm like, oh wow, you got to stand up for yourself. I realized that me trying to be protective of him or to be defensive against this kid is not the solution. At one time, Donald Trump and Chrissy Teigen were kids. They were at elementary school. They were on the playground, right? This is to me what it feels like. It feels like, yeah, nah. And then Chrissy's like, well, nah. That's the energy. It doesn't matter what's said. Back then, it might have been, you can't play with us, or, oh, you're ugly, or you're smelly. Today, all these years later, going from elementary school to maybe have 3 friends and you're in the popular clique, it's sort of like in the movie Clueless or Mean Girls, and today, you have millions of followers. You have this community. Suddenly, you're an influencer, right? And so when you become an influencer, my understanding from a spiritual perspective is that you have a responsibility to serve. And of course, if we take a step back from this and we try not to judge what's being said here, because it's just words, like sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Taking a step back, they're both human beings, right? And they both had moments where they're not coming from their higher selves. I would imagine ultimately that my hope would be that President Trump wants to be a leader bringing peace and positivity and prosperity to the world, and that Chrissy Teigen wants to be a positive influence, a great role model for young girls, for teenagers, for mothers, to empower women. I feel whatever went on back and forth in this exchange totally moved away from that. However, because a lot of the time we only pay attention when negative things are said, not when everyone's all love and peace, that then these underlying issues come to the surface. So I would say the silver lining out of this whole situation, which has become a back and forth between, you know, you're calling me names, well, I'm going to call you a name. Well, the name I'm calling you is going to kick your ass more than the name that is kicking my ass, instead of the underlying issues of what's really happening. It's just gone totally out of control. So how can we bring it all back? How can we focus on the positive? And I think what's important from this is when we look at these bigger trending stories and we want to judge, we want to criticize. Let me tell you that the ego part of myself wants to judge both of them and say, grow up. What are you doing? But then I have times when I'm maybe not so graceful as I would like to be. As an author writing a book about big miracles and principles, spiritual rules, I'm not always that spiritual. It is a daily practice for me. So I feel here, rather than us judge them and get into a back and forth, because I looked a little bit on Twitter, and then Andy Lassner, who was executive producer of the Ellen Show, got onto this whole President Pussy Ass Bitch thing, ramping that up. Then Team Chrissy gets going. It's like, yeah, we're going to take sides. And then Chrissy Teigen's retweeting that with, oh, I didn't want all this attention about being, President Pussy Ass Bitch. Let's just go with that. And we know that Donald Trump is always very blunt in his delivery of things. This should be no surprise to anyone. What if there had been no reaction? What if I'm just thinking here, what if when Trump had gone and sent that tweet out, which I do personally it's not a graceful way to behave, to not reference her by name and call her a filthy mouthed wife. It's so insulting. It's like, I'm not even acknowledging you're not even it's babyish. It's so and that is so ridiculous. What if John Legend and Chrissy Teigen had said, we're not even, and Lester Holt, what if we're not even going to acknowledge it? That would have, I think that, again, it's easier to say from the outside, but that would have been the high road. That would have been the spiritual path. That would have been the higher self expressing itself instead of getting into the back and forth. And so I would say, if there is some situation in your life, like how I get defensive and protective and mama bear of my child when he comes home and he says, this happened with this kid and this thing happened with that one, a little bit, that me as a mom, he's looking to me for guidance and support. I need to be really careful what I communicate to him, the message I send to him. And it's the same for Trump and Teigen and Legend. I mean, John Legend, a phenomenal genius in music, genius. And yet somehow this has got into this lower level stuff. So at the end of the day, we don't have control over what these thought leaders, these political leaders, these entertainment industry, huge creative artists say or how they act. What we can do is learn from their human mishaps, from that part of their unevolved ego, because I think all of them, Trump, Teigen, Legend, they've all done brilliant things in some capacity. If you look at each one of them individually and you take away your own views of, politics and this and that and what is and isn't said, I feel all of them, their overarching energy is wanting to make a positive difference in the world, wanting to make the world better. I feel that is all of their intentions. And yet it's gone into a shit show of attack. And so I think sometimes when we feel attacked on a personal level from someone in our community, whether it's from someone who works in your industry, someone who is a parent, someone who is a family member of yours, someone that is a friend, and we want to go to the negative, right? Sometimes we get a kick, we thrive, we feed some part of us. When there is something darker or shadow within oneself, we want to go to that, I want the fight, because it makes us feel alive. The healthy choice to make is say, I can see maybe that person is feeling a little insecure, or they're feeling the weight of the world on their shoulders. I can't even imagine. How could I? No, I don't have millions of people in my community, but let's take a step back a moment and have a compassion for each one of them in this, whatever your politics are, whatever your beliefs are, wherever you are at in your life journey, to just go, it's not easy for any of them. My hope, my prayer is that they can be better role models. And if they can't be better role models, then it starts with you. How can you be a better role model? How can you be a little bit more graceful today when you want to tell someone to bugger off, or that you don't like what they're doing? Or maybe you don't say it outwardly, but you carry it, and then you go home to your spouse, or you get on the phone with your best friend, or you're texting them like, this person, this. Instead, you don't go there. You don't go there to that negative. So I would say this is the silver lining to that story today. Because again, everything that we want in the world starts with humanity. And that isn't with some massive leader. It comes back to you. You. So let's pick cards now. I'm going to pick a card. I'm going to pick a card for Donald Trump and for Chrissy Teigen and for John Legend. I'm going to pick all three. This from the spiritual context, there's a triangle here. And in psychology, we end up having triangulation, which you could say where two or more are gathered. There is a third mind. There is a spiritual mind. There is this incredible inspiration that comes. Or we could say in triangulation, someone always gets left out. Someone ends up being the attacked one, right? All right, here we go, the attacked one. I'm going to go, this card is for Chrissy, because it did start off where she was the one that was attacked with this, and she wasn't asking for the attack. All right. I'm just like, feel like I've been punched in the stomach with this card for her. So she may, my feeling is where online it's like, yeah, president, pussy ass bitch. I feel a lot of what she's doing. Sometimes I know in her heart, she wants to be an inspiration. Her whole everything, her whole energy, her whole being. I'm gonna talk as if I was talking to Chrissy. Chrissy, I know that you want to be a great inspiration. You are an inspiration. You're more than enough. You are this beautiful goddess. You are this powerful. You're powerful. You're special beyond belief. Why do you need to use these curse words? Why do you need to put like just all this, pussy ass and this and that? If that's being said in front of some 7-year-old girl, is that something, the energy that, or the words that you want to communicate? I know that's not the energy that you want to put across. It's not. This card here, it's massive misunderstanding. It's a card of misunderstanding for you within yourself. And I feel like this is a pattern that goes way, way back for you. This has gone on your whole life. It does go back to the playground. It does go back to your childhood. Maybe that's why I feel like that popped into my head this morning. This thing of you have been misunderstood, but instead of you just standing in your beauty, I'm not just talking about your looks from the modeling, I'm talking about your beauty as a soul, and that you don't need to come with these words or get all, I've got to, and attack, and I'm tough, I can handle myself. You don't need to do that. I know underlying that, your next level of spiritual growth is practicing not saying those things. If you stop speaking in that language, if you stop communicating in that way, I believe that spirit will use you as a channel, that you will be a spiritual vehicle, a spiritual instrument, and your best work on a humanitarian level is yet to come. Please, Chrissy, allow that. Let yourself step into that, and you will reach more and more people and help them in a way. Women, like, your mission is to help women. You are there as that archetype for women. Please be that role model. When you were that child on the playground, and this is the last thing I'm going to say with this for you, Chrissy, and I'm going to move on next. When you were that girl on the playground, or when you came home from school and you didn't have the support in the way that really I wish had been there for you, please be that mother, that role model, that teacher for this next generation of young girls, and for the mothers who are out there who are raising those young girls. I know you have that power. Be who you're meant to be. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go John Legend next. I'm going to go John Legend with this because it ties in with it. And then I'm going to go to Trump. Okay, John. Wow, you are carrying some serious amounts of anger in you. Your whole thing, John, your life purpose, your mission. I have the card here, but I just got to say this first. You know this already. You've already been living it in a massive scale. Your work is to bring peace. When I think of you, John Legend, I think of John Lennon. Imagine all the people, I said it earlier at the beginning here, imagine all the people living in peace. That is your work. And yet I feel this, like this core of anger. Your mission, the legacy that you're creating, is tough. 99.999999999% of people in the world could not do what you are here to do. And I would say to you, where you go with that part of you goes, I can't go any deeper. I feel this anger because you are transmuting, you're carrying the weight of a lot of anger and ignorance from people in the world. Part of a large majority of the ignorance that comes in the world is because people haven't been educated. I feel like this is why you and Chrissy were brought together. The core of Chrissy is about education. And for you, it is this, the activation of your energy together to bring peace. You as that power couple, to come back to that. So what's important, like the spiritual practice where you are transmuting, you're taking on all this energy, and as you feel that the anger that you feel, right, is because of the things where people haven't been treated right? So I like you are that voice to stop mistreatment. But what you have to do with that, and it's upside down here, I'm shaking this. What you have to do with that is like literally you have to let the energy run through you. It's almost like I want to say not a river. It's sort of like a river, one of those beautiful oh gosh, what do I see? Like a stream, like a winding stream, but it's a strong stream. It's like the type of stream that I would see, and I'm going to turn it the other way up now, because when a card is upside down, this means this is the challenge to overcome. The foundation, right? The foundation of what you're doing, I'm talking about like your give back, the legacy that you're creating, can be exponential. It is already marvelous, but it can be at a whole nother level. So this stream of energy, let me go back to the New Zealand thing. There's some connection here I feel for you with work. Energy for you with New Zealand. It's like the water is running through and it is pure. Spirit is saying, come back to the purity and quietude. When you take that time, you need to take extra time to come back to some, not solitude, but quietude, as Spirit is saying. And then I just see you rolling out some, I know you're prolific already. I see you rolling out incredible stuff. Some of these projects, the things that you're working on, it's like what pops into my head is when there was Live Aid and there was Hands Across America. And I feel like there's something in the works there where you're going to do some project where you are bringing people together on a global level through music, through the arts, And it raises billions of dollars globally. I want you, like, out of this situation that's going on, this thing trending on Twitter, focus on that. In your prayer, in your meditation, when you sit in your quietude, go, how can I be the clear channel for this idea of helping those less fortunate? How can I take my gifts and do it on a whole nother level in a way I never have done it before? Whole next level. Let's move on to Trump. Okay. Card for Trump. All right. President Trump. Let's see what the cards have in store for you. It's this one. I feel my heart is exploding here. Let me explain what that means. There is, I feel like a lot of when you lash out Trump, there's so much stuff that you're not dealing with. Like, everything is bottled up in your heart. There's so much you don't say. I wish you would allow yourself to be vulnerable, truly vulnerable. Then you wouldn't be misunderstood. What? I thought I picked one card. It's 3 cards. Okay, I did not know. Here we go. Let's go with these. I'm gonna hold them all up at once. My hands are shaking here. All right. So we have here King of Swords, and we have Queen of Swords. Wow. It's like him and Melania. That is wild. Okay, and then we've got the Hermit. Let me explain these cards. I'm shaking. My hands are shaking here. All right. So I can't even, again, how do you run a country? How do you all do these things? You know, when you step into a role of being president, into a role of leadership, half the people love you, half the people hate you. The more energy that you have to transmute on a soul level, the more intense it is, the bigger your challenges are, because you're holding for a collective energy. And so I would say, what do you need to do in your you need to be able to go inwards. You need to be able to somehow, I could just see Trump like, doesn't want to hear any of it. But I just know, I see the little boy, like the boy on the playground that is just puffed up. I see this boy with this heart, this boy who just wants to be loved, who just wants attention, who somehow in his childhood did not have the attention that like maybe had a certain attention, right? He was center of attention, but everything just feels so controlled, like the love that you wanted that you didn't have. Next phase for you of growth, you need to take time to go inwards. You need to be able to feel in your heart, it's become so outwardly directed. Here, these cards, the king of swords and the queen of swords. This is showing actually mastery of communication. Mastery of communication. But with mastery of communication, you can use your words to harm people. You can communicate in a way to cut people down, which you did cut Chrissy down, and you really cut her down. Or you can use them to lift people up, sort of like when the Queen of England, and she knights someone to acknowledge them for their great work. I wish that you could acknowledge more people. I wish in this situation, I'm going to go back to all of you, Donald, Chrissy, John, you could all acknowledge each other instead of attacking each other. So my advice for Trump for a next step, especially as he is preparing for 2020, is take time to get into the feelings of your heart. Get into the feelings of your heart and go, How can I use my masterful skills of communication and negotiation to be able to get what I want? How can I do that in a selfless way? And when you go inwards and you strip away all the hurt and all the times you have felt ignored and insignificant and neglected, then I feel that you could be better received. I'm Joanna Garzilli. This is Tarot News, giving you a multi-dimensional view. Thank you for watching. Tune in next time.